welcome to blog 42 of Tackle the Feelings Before the Behavior. And today's blog is called How to Create Emotional Safety and Gain Back Control. And I'm making two blogs. This one is going to be a general blog on emotional safety and what to do about it, especially for adults who are going through anxiety and a lot of stress or problems in relationships. This will help you to feel like you're gaining more control, particularly around your emotional self. Those reactions that you just don't know where they're coming from and all that kind of thing. This will help. I'm going to make a separate blog that's specific for how to create emotional safety for kids, because this is a bit different because you're helping them. Whereas when you're creating emotional safety for yourself, you're doing that for yourself. But kids need your help in creating emotional safety. So if you've got kids and you're interested, watch the next blog, blog 43 as well. So the first thing I want to say is that this blog is another blog in the playlist for anxiety. The reason I say this is because the predominant core emotion underneath a lack of emotional safety is fear. Fear is the core emotion. And because fear is the core emotion here, we're going to do a number of strategies for that emotion. That's why it's so helpful to understand. But when it comes to emotional safety and how you get to a point of not feeling emotionally safe, that is something that I think a lot of people don't quite understand or struggle to understand as something different to physical safety. Physical safety is something most people understand quite well and can pick up on quite well. You can tell when your physical self is threatened, when you're in danger, when it's a dodgy, dark alleyway, or that you're with someone that gives you the creeps and you think, no, the situation is turning dangerous. So you can feel that. But emotional safety is so much different because it ties in with all our traumas and our childhood emotional regulation, how we have built our coping mechanisms and why. So it originates in childhood, but we have these series of relationships and situations where we often don't feel emotionally safe. We don't trust the situation or people. We don't feel like we can really be ourselves. We don't feel accepted. We don't feel that we're going to be well received if we express the truth, or if we say, no, we don't enjoy something when we do, and things like that. So when we go against ourselves, basically, we don't feel safe that people are going to receive us well, and that we feel that we can't handle it. We don't feel that we can handle it, and that's the main thing here, is that we avoid our own truth. We avoid how we feel. We repress our emotions, dismiss our emotions. We allow people to treat us in certain ways. We don't put up boundaries for ourselves emotionally and physically because of these emotional barriers that we have from our childhood and from our coping mechanisms and false beliefs and everything. We become emotionally unsafe in a lot of areas. And the more emotionally unsafe we are, and the more of a lack of emotional safety we had in childhood, the more likely, I believe, we will develop something like an anxiety disorder or struggle with high levels of stress. And maybe we'll have physical ailments that correlate with that. If we're not people who experience that or express that in an emotional way, often we get sick physically. Sometimes we have both. Anxiety is a very physical disorder. So one of the main things to do when you're anxious is to regain a sense of emotional safety. And basically, you're regaining a sense of emotional control, because everything is about perception. How we see the world, how we experience everything that happens to us comes out of our own lens. A lens that is influenced by our personalities and our temperament, by our upbringing, by our culture, by our gender, by every experience that we've had. It's unique to us. We are unique individuals. So everything that we experience and see is perceived in a unique way to us. And so if we've had some damage earlier on, if we haven't felt safe growing up, if we've had childhood emotional neglect, which most of us have to some degree, if we've had abuse, if we've had trauma, all of the above, we're going to struggle to feel emotionally safe. We're going to be underregulated in our emotions. We're going to fear certain emotions or have resistance to certain emotions. And to feel emotionally safe inherently needs you to start rebuilding that relationship with your emotions. That is not an easy walk, and it's split into two areas. And what you can do here, and what I'm going to talk to you about today, is more the strategies of managing this, of managing your anxiety, of helping you to feel a sense of control. There's another area here, and that is healing. And this is an important thing that everybody needs to go through in their own way, in their own time. And I'm not going to focus too much on the healing of the childhood neglect and the abuse and the reasons for why you feel emotionally unsafe in this video today. But these strategies help. They help get you in a place of control and groundedness in order to work on the healing. So when you think of feeling unsafe and a lack of emotional control, I want you to think of your inner child. I want you to think of that part of you that's feeling really hurt or really anxious or insecure and not feeling really stable in a situation. That is the child in you. That is triggered. That is your triggered to a feeling you've had from a while back. The more intense you experience this lack of emotional safety, this jealousy in relationships, this inability to let things go when things happen to you, the way you will go into shame and look at yourself and break down why you are so terrible and such a failure, all those kinds of things, those come from that trigger, something that's happened to you back in your childhood. So when you think of this, I want you to think of a child, and I want you to stop punishing your child. I want you to stop putting these really difficult expectations on yourself when you're not ready. So if you're not ready to commit wholeheartedly, if you don't feel you want to do something, if you don't feel comfortable somewhere, I want you to trust that. That is your intuition. That's where you are right now. It doesn't matter if people close to you can do it, if people that have, that you see can handle a lot less than you can do it, but you can't. Don't worry about it. The number one thing you need to do when creating emotional safety is actually to be really kind, gentle, and accepting with yourself and where you are at right now. The reason you feel emotionally unsafe is because of trauma, because you are not feeling connected, you are not feeling protected, you are not feeling safe in this world, inside yourself. It's not something to punish, and it's not something to criticize in yourself. It's something to heal and to manage in kindness. So that's number one. Stop all that negative self-talk about what you should be doing and all of that. I want you to go into a place of understanding, of looking at yourself like a detective. And this goes into the healing. So I want you to be able to name what is going on for you when you feel all over the place, when you don't feel safe emotionally, when you feel like there are problems in relationships, when you're feeling anxious, especially when you're feeling out of control and overwhelmed. I want you to be able to name that. I want you to check in, close your eyes, check in how you feel physically, how you feel emotionally. Be able to name what is going on for you. You don't have to understand why. I want you to just understand the emotions. So that is naming the emotions, and you will be helping children do that. So it's a really good skill for you to do for yourself, is name it. Then I want you to be accepting of whatever state you're in. If you're angry and you don't feel you're justified in being angry, accept that you are angry. It doesn't matter your reasons. Just allow yourself to feel what you feel. So that's that validation. You validate yourself by allowing yourself to feel what you feel, regardless of whether it's justified or not. Allow those feelings so that they may be processed and released. So it's not going to happen overnight when you've got coping mechanisms, but it can happen. So when you're validating, you're accepting, you're saying to that inner child inside yourself, it's okay to feel what you feel. You didn't feel that it was okay in the past. I am an adult. I am telling you it is okay to feel what you feel. That's the message you send to yourself unconsciously. When you're out of control, it's because you're coming from a place of the unconscious, of things outside of your awareness. So you want to bring this into your awareness. You want to at least start that relationship with your emotions. So the next thing you do is you reassure yourself. That's what you would do for children. You would reassure and say that it's okay to feel what you feel. And you feel what you feel because X, Y, and Z, you fill in the blanks. You look at yourself. You don't go into a straight place of blame. You can be in blame if you need to be in blame. But if you're feeling emotionally unsafe, this is about you. This is about your feeling of safety in the world at large, as a person, as an emotional, physical, and mental being. The whole package is not feeling stable. You're feeling anxious and you are flying into your coping mechanisms. Maybe you push people away before they get too close and hurt you. Maybe you create dramas and issues so that you don't feel invisible. Whatever the case is, you are doing things that aren't working for you. If you're watching this video, likely it's not working for you. You don't feel stable. So you need to create that within yourself. You need to reassure yourself. You need to familiarize yourself with all the emotions and understand what you're feeling so that you can comfort yourself and put in the right strategies that are going to help you. Because no one can give you a manual and tell you this is what's going to work for you. It's not possible because of what I was saying about perception. We all see the world in such different ways. So we need to do things and find things that work for us. And if we understand emotional safety needs that reassurance, that validation, what else does it need? It needs to find a sense of control. How do you do that? Through consistency. Creating things like consistency for yourself, routines, structures, putting things in place that feel like habit, that feel like you know where you're going. When everything feels out of control and unknown, create things that are known for yourself. Another thing is to self-care. Look after yourself, nurture yourself, understand that you need to feel. Maybe you need coziness. Maybe you need a lot of freedom and space. Check in. What do you need to feel good right now? What do you need to put in place to feel better, to feel good? Know your limits. Start learning some boundaries and being honest with yourself. Do you want to do that? Do you want to go out on the weekend, or do you need a pajama day? Do you need to be at home amongst your things? What do you need to do for yourself? Do you need bubble baths? Do you need meditation? Do you need walk? Do you need to be in nature? Do you need a good friend? Do you need to write? Do you need to express yourself? What do you need to do? Know yourself. Know what's going to feel good. Know what's going to be an emotional release for you. Get rid of some of that creative ventures, anything that pours creativity, working outside of your mental space. That releases emotions. And break things down into manageable chunks to avoid that overwhelm. I've got a blog on overwhelm. If I can't remember exactly which one, but if you scroll through, you'll find one combating overwhelm and an activity to do that. Check that out. And then make it your mission to learn more about yourself with love and acceptance and compassion, knowing that every flaw you have is probably what makes you you, is needed in some way. So build that relationship with yourself. So I hope that's been helpful. I know there's lots more to say, but watch the one for children after this. Take care. Bye.